my 11th grade students about archetypal symbolism. The color green is a powerful archetypal symbol. The image of a tree is a powerful archetypal symbol. When you read it on the page, it is what it is at the surface, but it has an underlying meaning. Even numbers can be archetypal, like the number 3, the 3 kings, the 3 wise men, the Trinity, the Father, the Son, the ghost of the slain Son. It's the patriarch. It's the Father. And then you have this number, 4. The 4 seasons, the 4 life cycles, birth, maturity, death, regeneration. There's only one thing on planet Earth that can create life, and that is the mother. So when I would tell this to my students, like, this is the father and this is the mother, when I would say to them, so why is it that you think everyone's favorite lucky number is, it's called archetypes. 3. I will tell you 3 things about my father, and one will be a lie. My father left the year I was born. My father's heart, like mine, is made up of 4 chambers, but only 3 work well. My father's left atrium broke the day he walked away from me. There were 3 of us. We all come from different fathers, but the same mother. We all have different colored eyes, but the same smile. We're all different, but the same. We're all different, but the same. We're all different, but the same. 4. I think I've only loved 4 women in my life well. At some point, you should take all the money in your wallet and spend it on the women in your life that you have loved well. At this exact moment, counting the change in my pocket, I currently have just under $7 on me. I would buy the first woman a white peach because she once moaned after biting into one. I would buy the second one a pack of sugar-free gum because she is diabetic. I would buy the third one a disposable camera, which seems insignificant, but oh, can you imagine the possibilities in those 24 exposures? The fourth woman, I would give this poem, as I would likely be out of money at this point. This section of the poem says as much about the fourth woman's love of poetry as it does about my ability to budget money well. I'm writing this poem in an airport. My flight lands at 4 p.m., and there's a very good chance my phone will be dead by then. When I land, I don't want to call the 4 women I loved well. I want to call all the women I did not love well and tell them just how sorry I am. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. 7. My favorite movie growing up as a kid was The Magnificent Seven, a remake of a classic Japanese film, The Seven Samurai. In terms of film, my favorite childhood movie is An American Bastard. But it's a good one. Yeah. So am I. So are my brothers. You can teach a class on archetypal symbolism from just that film alone. The star of that film, Yul Brynner, died of lung cancer. Just before he died, he shot one of those powerful and poignant public service announcements. That PSA ends with Yul Brynner staring into your soul from inside the black and white television, repeating 3 words: just don't smoke. I swear it must have run 7 times a night during the prime time of my youth. And though I can't be certain, I think those may have been Yul Brynner's last words. When I was 7, I learned that my father smoked unfiltered Camels. So did Yul Brynner. And though I can't be certain of it, I think in the end it will not be my father's metaphorical broken heart, nor will it be his actual broken heart that gets the best of him. In the end, it will be his lungs, and I, his firstborn son, will not get to be there to hold his hand when he dies. I will not hear his last words. I will not ask for or accept his forgiveness. In the end, there will be only silence. I forgive you. 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 I just found out my flight is delayed. It will not land until 7 p.m. Will the women I have loved well, will the women I have not loved well forgive me for my silence? Or for those times I should have been silent but was not? Will they forgive me for my carelessness with money, or my carelessness with all 4 chambers of the human heart? Will they forgive me for loving words more than I love them? Will they forgive me for all the poems I've written about them? For all the poems I haven't written about them? I want to write a collection of 28 poems, 7 poems for each of the 4 women I have loved well. And though I love them all, I will reserve the use of closed form for only one of them. I will write her 7 Shakespearean sonnets, no. I will write her 7 villanelles, no. I will write her 7 epic poems written in rhyming couplets, no. I will write her 7 powerful and poignant PSAs that will all end the same. with 3 words, repeating, I love you, 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 I love you. So that's an old one. Got that old punk smell. This is the new book, y'all. It's called Occupy Whiteness. It's out from Deep Vellum Publishing in Dallas, Texas. They're a translation house who's just, they're dipping their toes in the poetry. They've been doing translation work for the last 15 years, and now they're starting to support poets, and God bless them for picking this up, because it's complicated and beautiful and tricky, and it's got all these things that stipulations I kept adding to it. Well, I need this page to be on black paper with white text, and this page to be on white page with black text, and they were like, yes, say less. And I was like, well, I want to insert 22 black and white photos from the border between Mexico and Texas when I traveled working with students, and they were like, say less, yes. And I said, I want some of these things to be translated into Spanish first and then in English. They were like, say less. So thank you, Deep Vellum Publishing, for making this book a reality. These are hybrid erasers, and there's a code at the front of the book that you can read that will tell you how to decipher these things. It's called A Conversation with a White Poet at a Prestigious Literary Festival. So Joaquin, let me get this straight. You take a book by a white male author, and you read it until a page jumps out at you for whatever reason. You then erase every page before it and every page after it. You then select somewhere between 3 and 14 random words on that single page and erase all the other words, leaving those isolated words floating in a sea of white space. You then occupy that white space with what you're calling brown verse. Is my understanding correct? Yes, it is. But don't you feel bad about taking words, even if it's just 3 isolated words on a page from a white male author? No. Why not? Because you see, I'm not taking any words. I'm discovering them. I'm colonizing them. I knew I wanted to do this for a long time to white male authors. I just knew I did. And I needed to find a way to make it happen. Like, how's this form going to work exactly? Like, what am I going to do? How do I begin? And a few years ago, I'm on a flight. I fly a lot, y'all. And this is a real flight. This is like no joke flight. It's like Charlotte to LA, like 3 hours strong, right? And we're in the air. There's no turning back now. And I notice a bulge in the pocket on the seat in front of me. Someone's left something. If it's an iPad, I'm gonna turn it in. I reach in, it's a plastic bag, and in it is a novel. I look on the back, it says $11.95. And I think to myself, I'm not turning this in. This is a gift from the universe, y'all. God has just given me $12. So I'm gonna read this book that God placed before me. So I look on the back, and there's a nondescript picture of a white male author in his mid-50s. And I read the blurb on the back of the book. Nothing I would ever hope to read in my life, ever. But God has placed this book in my path, y'all. So I'm going to read it. And I start reading, and I start reading, and I start reading, and I get to about page 87 of the novel. And on that page is the word obsidian. What is this beautiful word doing in this really shitty novel, you know? Yeah. So I immediately tear that page out of the novel. I just tear it out. And I discard the novel back to the pocket that it was in. And my wife, my beautiful Puerto Rican wife who hates poetry, has placed a bunch of whiteout markers in my backpack that I've never used. I open them up, I break the seal, open them, and I just start whiting out words. But I keep obsidian. And I keep the word glass. And then there was the word fried. What was the word fried doing on the page of obsidian? And I knew I had to keep that word because I want to erase the R because I need it to be fied. Because I know that that's the suffix I want something to end with. Right. So, view from the 5th floor of the Adam Hatz Building, 1986. Neil, you see that? Dark facade, Magnolia Hotel, odd mythic creature, gentrified Pegasus, hips of flesh or semblance of flesh, torso of brick and glass, obsidian, clad shoulders, dominating, diminishing, a reflection far bigger than mannequin, opposite, glass, stone, steel, what they call progress, we call theft. They will come, mijo. Blue suits, yellow dragons, they will come and take all of this from us. Okay. Also on that page was the word torso, but it was hyphenated because it was at the end of the paragraph, so it was TOR-SO, torso. And I thought about my city, Dallas. And if you've never read the book, The Accommodation, I'm a teacher, I can give homework. Here's your homework. Read The Accommodation by Jim Schutz. It's about the evil, there's no other word, the evil that went into the placement of some of the freeways in our city. Right through black communities in an attempt to destroy them. Right through Jewish communities in an attempt to destroy them. Read this book. And I thought about how people talk about my city in terms of north and south, in terms of this side of 30 or that side, right? And how my city is tore so in two. So I knew I had to keep tore so. Y'all, I had to read hundreds of books by white male authors to write this book of poetry for y'all. This is 3 years of my life, y'all. I'm not going to read another white male author again, y'all. I've read enough. I'm going to read you one more real quick, and a couple of short ones. I'm going to bring up a couple of friends to talk to me about this book. This is called 102. And the boy played with the mother's fluvial hair, black, her mosaic frame, burnt umber, the daughter just out of arm's reach, gone already. They found the boy in time to save him. Many years from now, someone will tell him the awful truth of all that was lost, the bruises on their backs, shoulders, waists, how two women, mother, sister, carried him, gave him their water. On that day, he will learn all there is to know of brown and gold, of flesh and sand. When I was deciding where I wanted to write for that particular day, some of the times I was traveling through the Southwest along the border working with students, so sometimes I would read newspaper articles to take me in the direction that I wanted to write that day, and then that would take me to something I had to erase to write about it that day. And there was this newspaper article of this boy who was found in the desert by his dead mother and dead sister. And they carried him, and they gave him their water. I titled the poem 102 because when they found the boy at 9 p.m. in the evening, in the desert, the temperature was 102 in the evening. That's why I titled it. So I wanted these poems to move beyond my body, beyond my torn city, to this torn thing that is America and that damn border. And I submitted the book. The book was half the length it is when I submitted it to my publisher. I said, I'm done. There are the poems. And I had this brilliant editor named Sebastian Paramo, PhD. Brown people getting PhDs, y'all. Yes. I want every brown and black person I know to have a PhD. Come on. But I submitted to my editor, and Sebastian said to me, Joaquin, these things are hybrid erasures. They're hybrid things where you're taking something and erasing it and adding things in. It's a hybrid. Why don't you embrace hybridity even more and insert something into this book of poetry that has no business being there? Like essays, micro essays. And that's when I said, I've got some conditions. Black page with white text. And they said, yes. And I said, I want the essays to be in Spanish first, then English. They said, yes. And I said, I also want the essays to have no name, no title, and no mention in the table of contents. Meaning, every time you see a black page in my book, you've come to an undocumented piece. There are undocumented pieces in my book, but they are just as important as the ones that are documented. Trust me. So I'm going to read a couple of the undocumented pieces. I'm going to bring up a couple of friends. Now, I'm going to read you something that's a micro essay. It is very, very short. And because it's short, I can talk about it. So, I won 2 World Poetry Slam championships in 2008 and 2009. I was the Serena of my thing. I was the Tiger of my thing. Couldn't nobody beat me. And I started getting opportunities after that second world championship. I went to Paris, came back. People found out about this. And I got invited to be one of the featured authors at the Missouri Literary Festival, which is a literary festival for all genres, but they were focusing that year in 2010, when they had a central focus on poetry. So the two featured authors were Billy Collins, who at the time was the two-time United States Poet Laureate for the entire country, and Fling-Joaquin Z. And there was a fundraising thing on night one where all the people who paid for the festival got this little special dinner at this fancy restaurant. And two writers were invited, Billy Collins and Fling-Joaquin Z. And at the dinner, they asked Billy to come up and do one of his little short poems. Billy Collins writes these little poems that make people smile. And sometimes that's all the poem has to do is make you smile. And he does that. And he read his poem and people applauded him. And I'm thinking to myself, please, dear God, don't ask me to go up and do a poem after the United States Poet Laureate, right? And sure enough, this man got up there and he was wearing a leather trench coat, y'all. Jewish man. And you could tell that he had the biggest wallet in the room. So he was calling the shots. And he said, Joaquin, you have a poem about a deaf student named John.